Hey folks, Dale Davidson here. Thank you for joining me today. So there's a lot of confusion out there. If I'm a veteran, do I need to go to the Veteran Services offices in my town? Do I need to go see a VA accredited representative? Do I need to go see a lawyer? Hell, do I need to go see LegalZoom or wherever? Okay, so there's a lot of people out there touting their services and things like that on YouTube and other places. You know, and it all deals with, hey, we're trying to take care and provide a good service to veterans, whether they be elderly, sick veterans, or their spouse or dependents, whoever it may be. Because look, the family, the veteran's family, they all have the same basic common problems. They want to take care of their parents or their grandparents who need constant care, and at the same time they want, if possible, to preserve and protect their parents or grandparents' assets and savings so that they can inherit. Now that seems like a pretty greedy thing to say, but that's ultimately what it boils down to, is trying to preserve and protect so that eventually you would inherit. Now, the issue deals with caring for sick veterans or elderly veterans. VSOs and VA accredited representatives, they can only do so much, okay? There's only so many programs that the VA has which can help, but these issues often require basically they require a comprehensive solution. And look, VSOs, and they're good people. They provide a great service, and VA accredited representatives, good people, provide great services, but they have limited abilities to help, okay? And LegalZoom and other of those online type document drafting solutions, they offer you no help, okay? So, for instance, the VA offers a family caretaker program. We've talked about that in the past. But what happens if you're an elderly veteran and you have issues with VA aid and attendance? You go down to your VSO office and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Davidson, your income is too high or your assets are too high. We can't help you. You don't qualify." Well, so qualification issues and qualification problems are addressed by attorneys who are knowledgeable in the field, okay? So why is this important? Well, man, everything's getting so daggum expensive. A nursing home is $10,000, $11,000 a month, per month. Now that doesn't include, if you've got a spouse, that doesn't include your spousal support obligations you may have. Maybe your spouse is at home, you have to go into a nursing home, they still have to live. They still have their groceries and utilities and everything else. You're being taken care of in a nursing home, and it's costing over $10,000 a month sometimes. And it's not getting any cheaper. Assisted living facilities, they're better fit. I think they're better suited. They're cheaper, but they're still expensive. They're upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 depending on where you live. Again, things are just getting more and more expensive. So, in many instances, veterans and their spouses, they've saved money throughout the years or saved their assets. They bought a farm. They did whatever they did with their money, and they've been good stewards. And so then now they're faced with having all of that wiped out because of long-term care issues. What I mean is that they're going to have to start spending their money down in order to qualify for some of these benefits. For instance, Medicaid has a income and asset limit that if you exceed, you don't qualify. The VA aid and attendance has an income and asset limit that if you exceed those limits, you don't qualify. Now, in both of those Medicaid and VA aid and attendance programs, there are ways and there are techniques that qualified veteran attorneys know of that can help these veterans qualify for those programs despite having more income than they're supposed to have or more assets than they're supposed to have. Okay, there's a lot of exclusions to income, and there's some things you can get to deduct from your income in order to qualify. And the VSOs, or the VA representatives, don't necessarily have that training or that the abilities to provide those kinds of service. So that's where you would go to a VA attorney, or somebody, an attorney who's qualified to practice with the VA and very knowledgeable. So a lot of children will go to attorneys or CPAs, and they'll say, hey, mom, dad, you're going to a nursing home, let's go ahead and get these things out of your name into our name. I know that's kind of cursed, but you get the picture. There's some pressure from children say, we're trying to save your assets, let's get them and put them in our name. Now, there's right ways and wrong ways of giving, and I'm all for giving. That's a great thing, okay? But you don't want to give the wrong way. And the IRS rules for gifting, they don't play fair with the Medicaid rules for gifting, and they don't play fair with the VA rules for gifting, okay? Medicaid has a 5-year look-back period for gifting. The VA has a 36-month look-back rule for gifting. So you got to be very careful in those areas of gifting if in the near future you may or may not be seeking some long-term care help in a skilled nursing facility or looking for that VA aid and attendance pension. A lot of times children would consider assisted living facilities, again, because they are cheaper. They're a cheaper alternative to a nursing home, but it's still an expensive option. If your homeowner's expenses for your household living at home are, let's just say, $2,500 a month, if you go to a assisted living, you double that to roughly $5,000 a month. So where are you going to get that extra cash? You may qualify for VA benefits and get an additional, if you're a veteran and you have one dependent or spouse, you'll get an extra $2,600. That covers your expenses there. Okay, barely covers. But if you don't qualify for VA, where are you going to get that money to pay for that? You're going to have to come out of your savings. You're going to have to sell an asset, whatever it takes in order for you to afford those assisted living facilities. So I've talked about the VA look-back period of 36 months, and I've talked about the Medicaid look-back period of 60 months. And those two items really just add to the problems children have in helping their parents decide how to preserve and protect their assets for their long-term care, their health maintenance and support, their benefit, whatever you want to say. So those look-back periods really can throw a wrench into it. Again, the Medicaid look-back rule allows the Medicaid to go back for up to 5 years to see if you've transferred property, funds, whatever it is, to a child, grandchild, whoever it may be, other than your spouse. Likewise, the VA goes back 36 months. So, look, there are no good nursing homes out there, all right? Nobody wants to go to a nursing home. But life as it is, and 70% of us will have to have some kind of long-term care in our lifetime for whatever reason. We may not want to go to a nursing home and prefer to be in assisted living, but our level of care that we need may be above and beyond what assisted living can provide. So we're going to be forced into a nursing home situation. Now, if we're forced into a nursing home situation, then that puts more pressure on inheritances and being able to preserve and protect assets for children and grandchildren down the road. So veterans and children are looking for ways to pay for either in-home nursing care or pay for assisted living and try and do whatever they can to stay out of a nursing home. Now, let's get back to VSOs and VA accredited representatives and lawyers and all those people that help veterans, okay? by far, most claimants for VA benefits are represented by lay advocate service officers who are not trained in estate planning, elder law, or Medicaid qualification. Their abilities to help are limited. So you're talking about a veteran service office that's in your county, okay, or the neighboring county, or a VA accredited representative. We're talking about a non-lawyer person helping you get those benefits, and that's great, okay? But if the help they are providing involves qualification issues, you've got to be very careful, because they don't have the training, they don't have the expertise, and they don't realize that, again, the gift law, the IRS rules don't play nice with Medicaid or VA, okay? They don't play nice, they don't mix well, they don't match well. So you've got to be very careful as to what you're doing, because a lot of the eligibility issues deal around transfer of assets or gifting, okay? So that's where we get into folks like elder lawyers or financial planners who have some knowledge of VA pension benefits and Medicaid eligibility. And so I know that I personally do a lot of training, take a lot of courses each year, continuing legal education courses on elder law and Medicaid, supplemental needs or special needs in VA. So I do a lot of that. And there's some financial planners out there also doing that same thing. But again, if it deals with, you got to be careful between being a financial planner and giving what could be termed legal advice in order to qualify for a benefit. And I'll give you an example. Down in Florida, they have a rule that says, hey, if you're filing a Medicaid application for somebody and they don't qualify for the benefit because their income exceeds the threshold amount, but if you will put your income in a qualifying income trust, you'll qualify. That's legal advice. So you got to be careful if you're not a lawyer of giving legal advice. And there are a lot of financial planners out there. There's a lot of bankers out there. There's a lot of insurance agents out there that are giving legal advice, and I would just be wary. Again, as an elder law attorney, and I'm often approached by children of veterans who are, unfortunately the children aren't veterans, but they're proud of their parents. So anyway, they approach me and say, hey, what can you help me do for mom and dad? Okay. And they don't know about the network of service organizations or the advocates who represent their parents. They've gone to the VSO, but they've kind of hit a brick wall because the VSO says, hey, mom and dad don't qualify because of A, B, C, or D. Well, see, we take that and say, well, mom and dad don't qualify for A, B, C, or D, but if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, mom and dad can get qualified. That's the difference between us and a VSO. So again, in a lot of instances, VSOs are good people. They do a good service, but they don't have the training or qualifications because they are not lawyers. They cannot give legal advice. Whereas, that's what we're trained to do is figure out solutions to the problems. So in many instances, the children of veterans and their surviving spouses may be entitled to that pension we keep calling aid and attendance. And so a lot of times we'll get referrals from brokers and a lot of times other attorneys, because this is all we do, in order to assist their clients to qualify for the aid and attendance benefit so mom or dad or whoever it may be can be admitted or move into the assisted living facility. So there's a lot of things that go into what we do, but we help a lot of different people. Benefit coordinators that deal in VA, again, good people. They're very knowledgeable, but they're limited in that they can't give legal advice. All right. So as a general rule, when we talk about lay advocates, those are the veteran service officers, the VA accredited representatives, they're not lawyers, so they cannot give estate planning advice. They can't give you advice on how to qualify for a VA benefit like aid and attendance. They cannot give you advice as to how to qualify for Medicaid benefits, okay? Those are reserved for lawyers, okay? So non-lay people, again, they provide good services, but they're not lawyers and not supposed to be providing legal services. You'll go out there and you'll say, hey, who's qualified? Well, that's where we get on to Google or Bing or whatever search engine you want and type out, who's the elder law attorney in that area, and it'll come up with who that person is, and then check them out. Okay, look at ratings, talk to people, say, hey, what do you know about Dale? What do you know about Mark? Whatever it is, just check them out and see, are they truly knowledgeable, or are they just sticking something out there on the internet to drum up business? Okay, this is all we do. Okay, and I tell people, if you're going through a divorce, guess what? Your spouse is going to take you to the cleaners if I'm representing you, because I don't know anything about a divorce. All right, if you're facing some kind of criminal charge, guess what? You better get used to wearing orange and having 3 squares in a cot, because you're going to jail. I don't know anything about criminal law, but I do know about elder law, special needs, and veterans benefits, because that's all we do. So hey folks, thank you for tuning in today. Had a little bit of fun with the divorce and the criminal law comments, but hey, check this out, VA pension application tips for more information, and as always, you have a blessed day.